adventure started literally as almost an unbelievable dream. So in an ideal world, I would have definitely wanted to do this entire drive myself. But there's a lot of work involved, and so it's not physically possible for either me or even Bala to be away for 6 months. And so we knew right from the start that we definitely needed to have more people. So Ego India was the first magazine that I thought of, and so I invited Sirish Chandran and his deputy editor Kusur Chako and Dhruv Behel at AutoX and Ishan Raghav.
So we landed in Istanbul and headed straight for the cargo terminal to pick up the 2 Mercs that were waiting for us. It has to be said, they were looking a little plain at the time, so we headed straight to the decal center where we got the GLA adventure stickers put on the car, and they came out looking absolutely fantastic. I mean, it really looked like war paint. The finishing touch is the Indian flag. We will be flying the flag very proudly.
Now, doing justice to Istanbul in 2 days is really far-fetched, and what we managed to do was catch the big monuments of the city.
Yeah, we've got Hagia Sophia back there. We've got the Grand Mosque, the Blue Mosque right in front of us. Yeah. And it's pretty cool that they're both face-to-face.
Catching sight of those monuments was pretty special for Dhruv and I. And in fact, that's where we got our first selfie together. So Dhruv is kind of anti-selfie, and I do selfies all the time, so I'm kind of the professional at it. But we also had a nice moment with one of the old cars called the Anadolu. Both Dhruv and I had a little spin around it, and it was fun driving it around the city of Istanbul.
We were driving through the streets of Istanbul, and we came across this guy by the name of Erbil.
He is well known across the world for his street art, and he actually gave us an opportunity to kind of capture that GLA adventure on the walls of Istanbul.
Erbil's graffiti was all these really well-defined shapes and beautifully executed cars on the wall, with the exception of one, which was created by Bala and myself, was to put the Indian flag on the wall in Istanbul. The following morning is when we really got the action started with the 2 Mercs, and we started out at the Grand Prix circuit at Istanbul Park, which is an absolutely phenomenal.
So Istanbul Grand Prix coming to an end, and you have Dhruv in the GLA coming in at the final lap. The final turn is here, and he's going to get through the checkered flag in super style. The GLA is looking good, the headlights are all on, and Dhruv Bell is the winner of the Istanbul Grand Prix!
So I was supposed to do the entire Eastern European leg, but I found when I got to the airport leaving for Istanbul that I had only one valid visa, and that was the Turkish visa.
Strangely enough, his visa for the Schengen areas, which we were going to enter post-Istanbul, hadn't come through, and he had to fly back to India, which essentially meant that he had to have a replacement, and Ishan came in.
Finding space. We got a new visa for me very quickly. I barely had about 10 minutes to pack for a month-long trip, so as you can imagine, that was the level of chaos we were going through.
We've reached the Turkish-Bulgarian border, and you can see in front of us there's a huge queue. So we don't know how many hours it's going to take for us to get through this.
The border was the big moment. We had 10 hours to spend in that border. Maybe I don't even think the India-Pakistan border would take that long to cross.
The Turkey-Bulgaria border is the second busiest land crossing in the world. The mistake that we made is that we weren't prepared for it. So we didn't have enough water, enough food, and there were little or no facilities. So that was a bit of a rough start to the whole trip.
So right now we're in the main street of Bucharest. It's called the Victory Street, and the grand building you see right behind us is the National Art Museum.
Just went past the Parliament Palace, as they call it here in Romania.
But the best part of the day is now about to start. We've left Bucharest. We're now on the way to Transfagarasan.
There were a few stretches actually which were actually nice and winding, actually push the cars a bit and have a little bit of fun. But as we reached the summit, it was kind of pretty crowded, at least 1,000 people there. So this is it, the Transfiguration Highway. We've just gotten off the highest point. That's at about 2,000 meters. We actually parked there, went to the lake, enjoyed that moment. It was all to ourselves. And that was quite a special moment in the middle of the Transfiguration.
Now try to start.
Then we reached the town of Budapest, in which one of the most interesting things we did was drive this communist-era car called the Trabant or the Trabi. Not much power, but fun to drive because it's just a small, light car.
Ishan and I are actually two different kind of characters of auto journalists that you will get. He's more the encyclopedia, I would call him, the walking, talking encyclopedia of sorts. He pretty much knows his cars very, very well, especially the classic cars.
They have the Ford Model T, which was the first common man's car. And that's an Austrian car, actually. Steyr is an Austrian manufacturer. Right. This silver file, which means silver arrows, this is the car that won the 1954 and 55 Formula One championship.
I remember we walked into that museum in Romania, the Tiriac collection, and his eyes just lit up like he had seen, this is what he wanted to do for the rest of his life.
I like a lot of the cars, and seriously, a lot of them. So I'm going to spend some more time here, look at more cars.
When I saw 150 cars, including some of them which I've lusted after all my life, it was brilliant.
I'll have to come back very soon.
So he kind of is more the serious side. I was having fun. We went into that monument in, I think, Plovdiv. That amphitheater reminded me of a scene from Rocky where I was just, with all the audience around. The gladiators walked in and Ishan was a little bit more serious.
Hercules is here in town.
The boat. Welcome the crowd today. I'm glad all of you turned out in great numbers today. There's a great overland adventures about this. We are coming all the way from India. Thank you for joining us here on the Great Overland Show.
Siddharth's call.
Hi, Siddharth.
Mala, hi. How's it going?
It's going well. Bit of a mad dash. I hope to see you in Monza, right?
Well, if you both can hear me, I have some news that I wanted to pass on to you. There's been a bit of a change of plans. I have to now be in New York urgently, and the dates are clashing in such a way that I'm not going to be able to make it to meet up with you guys in time. Because what I haven't told you is that we were supposed to get some time with the Mercedes Formula team, the drivers, both the drivers, Nico as well as Lewis. And we've now got a confirmed slot with both of them. We've got 15 minutes with each of them. So what I need for you to now make sure that, the interviews go off well.
So that's not able to make it to Monza.
No?
Yeah.
All right, so don't spend too much time in beautiful Venice. I think you need to get a move on. And because now the slot is earlier than what we had expected it to be, which is how I can't make it in time, I think you better kind of step on it.
Yeah, I guess we don't have much time left. I think we should start heading towards Monza because we don't wait for that crucial meeting with Lewis Hamilton. So looking forward to that.
Okay, take care guys, safe driving.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Where we got to meet not one, but two current Mercedes Formula One drivers.
Lewis, thank you so much for being part
Pleasure.
of this adventure.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. One is a world champion now. He was almost world champion when we met him. Nico, thank you so much for being part of this adventure that we're on. And the other one was in second place. So they were kind of the people in the limelight in the Formula One circuit. How does it feel? We're doing 6 continents, 60,000 kilometers, and about 25 countries. Does that sound a bit crazy to you?
Super, super crazy. Yeah. We do about, I think in the season, maybe 20,000. So you do a crazy amount. I struggle to drive more than 2 hours is my limit. I can't go past 2 hours, otherwise I need to sleep.
Interesting to know that on a holiday, he actually drives very, very slow. Somebody who clocks, 350 kilometers an hour on the racetrack, driving at 60 kilometers an hour is something I can't imagine.
It's amazing. I can't even imagine all the things that this car is going to see and experience, around the world. Here next year going to Africa. Wow, that's going to be impressive, and it's a great way of showing, how reliable, because this car was assembled in India. So you can all be very proud, and because you've done an amazing job, and it's just as reliable as anywhere else where it's built.
That was an interesting evening to see how these top-notch racing drivers, how they think, how quickly they react, how quickly they have questions. It was great interacting with them. The autograph, the cars that we had.
Thank you so much for talking to NDTV.
The great overland adventure is on the move. Come be a part of it.
So these guys are doing something quite historic, and it'll be great to have you a part of it.
Now, getting inside a Formula One headquarters is what? Something that not everyone can do because it is extremely, extremely secretive. Now, the idea behind everyone who works at the Mercedes-Benz Formula One Championship Center at Brackley is to win the championship. And of course, they won the championship. Being there, getting to speak to the engineers, getting a sense of what goes into each and every race is something, not everyone can be proud of. And we, of course, met the head of the motorsports division, Toto Wolff. He was extremely, extremely passionate.
It sounds a little crazy, yeah? It's quite a road trip. I'm happy you made it until here. Knock on wood, it's gonna continue well.
And he's extremely clued on in terms of what Mercedes-Benz had achieved and was going to achieve during that championship.
It is a spectacular car. I think you will be getting a lot of attention with that car.
Yes. Toto, thank you so much for joining us on the GLA adventure.
And you continue your road trip, drive safely,
sure.
Not too fast, but the Mercedes will not let you down.
Europe has a very rich motoring history, so there are a lot of racetracks across Europe, spread all over them. And we discovered quite a few. In fact, we covered 2 of them which are no longer in use. One was a track called Murano Po in rural Italy.
It's actually quite a small track. It's only 2.5 odd kilometers. And that would be the main race control tower.
It's easy to see, why in Europe you have racetracks all over the place, and they're easily accessible. Even in small towns, you find a racetrack you can go to. For example, in Reims in France, another abandoned racetrack, which is no longer in use. In fact, at one point of time, it was one of the fastest racetracks in the world. It has 2 straights, both of 2 kilometers each, so that meant you could do a lot of high speed. And in fact, while we were there, we saw this coach full of British tourists come in to have pictures taken at Reims and have a look at what the track was like.
Autour de moi, pour nous, pour toi, pour cet instant-là où tu m'attends pour la dernière fois.